Hi, Bob Bartlett here with the Ubuntu Fly Anglers Network and iFishiBelong, and the host of our podcast series, On the Reel. For those of you who are not familiar with us, we are a small group of black and brown fly anglers, environmental activists, and educators from across the country and Canada. This podcast is consistent with our mission to make visible folks like us who live the outdoor life. It is an attempt to get real with our guests on matters that mean the most to them as black and brown folks who are environmentalists, educators, and environmental activists.
Hi, I'm Angelica Talon. I am so delighted and excited to be the guest host for this iFishiBelong podcast. Today we are meeting with Mario Guel.
He is. You said it great.
Thank you. I am half Mexican. For those who don't know, my dad immigrated to the States, and when he did, he decided to just go full on English, not teach me and my sister Spanish. So thank you, Mario. You teach me so much in our life, and I appreciate you so much. I am honored to be connecting with you today as our guest for the Be What You Don't See campaign. Mario is the founder of Taco Fly Co., a fly fishing guide, culture shifter, industry disruptor, and an ambassador for brown folks fishing. And my friend, Mario is based in Pulmas, California. Mario, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
I am so honored that we get to be together and we get to have this wonderful conversation about something that we are both passionate about, and that's fly fishing. Could you please share a bit about yourself and tell me what inspired you to take up fly fishing?
Okay. So I'm 45 years old. Well, I'll be 45 next month. I live in Pulmas, California. You were close.
I was like, did I say that? Is that like a Spanish word as well? Like, tell me how to say it.
I like it. So yeah, born and raised in San Jose, California. My dad is actually from Mexico as well, and he did the same thing. He didn't teach me Spanish, so I had to learn Spanish on my own. I lived in Spain once, and that's actually where I learned it. But I love fishing. I also grew up skateboarding. I love to mention that because skateboarding was basically my life for 30 years. I still skate sometimes. It was seriously all I did in San Jose besides fishing. Fishing has always been number one. I got into fishing when I was 5 years old. My dad took me. I threw a bobber, caught a little perch or sunfish on a bobber, and I've been addicted since. So fishing's always been number one, and then skateboarding was second.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and then I got into fly fishing because I used to wake up super early on Saturday mornings to watch fishing shows before the cartoons when I was a kid.
Yes.
And every once in a while there would be a fly fishing show. And this is broadcasted in the Bay Area, and I was born in '80, so we're talking 89, 88 into my early teens. And I would see fly fishing occasionally on these fishing shows. It would be very rare. And then The River Runs Through It came out in '92, I believe. That was actually, I got to see it. There was no fly shops in San Jose. We didn't have fly fishing in my family. And so I got to see it, and I was just so taken back on, the fishing in that movie and the views and such. And as a kid, we used to drive up to Lake Tahoe from San Jose, and I always would be staring at the river, wanting to fish down in the river, And so it seemed that was two that went together, fly fishing and the rivers. And so I went and knocked on my neighbor's door, who was actually an older Japanese man named Norman Mas Fujimoto, and he was a fly fisherman. And I knocked on his door, and I was like, "Hey, Mas, I'd love to learn how to fly fish. I saw these movies." And so he took me under his wing, showed me how to cast, showed me how to tie flies, and I owe a lot to Norman. But we call him Mas Fujimoto. He was definitely the person that was able to show me. I'm so lucky, he was my neighbor. So really cool.
You are lucky. I mean, and I love his name. That just sounds like a badass name. Yeah. Are you still in touch with him? Is he still with us?
So he's long since passed. When I was probably So when I knocked on his door, I want to say I was 14, 15, I think. Definitely couldn't drive then because he used to drive me to the casting ponds. And he was at the time when that happened already like in his mid 70s. So he's long since passed. And you know what was cool about Moss and his passing is that a lot of his fly fishing gear went to a local club. I mean, he was part of the original California salmon and steelhead fly fishers, which there's a really big history in that. If anybody's ever seen, there's a movie about fly fishing in California for steelhead and salmon, and he was a part of that. He actually used to go and film like 8mm cameras, like filming people fish and stuff. I got to watch some of those at his place.
My gosh,
so, yeah, really cool.
Really cool. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, and for him to be like, Japanese, his family had went through the internment camp thing when they put Japanese people in encampments and stuff. And so they like, and he lived in like a Mexican part of San Jose, like where I lived. So it was really cool.
That is so cool. Well, thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
Now, the buzz around you and your beautiful reputation is that you are an industry disruptor, a culture shifter, and some articles have said that you enjoy being different in this industry. What does being different mean to you?
Okay. All right. Well, it's not like I want it to be,
Sure.
I grew up skateboarding. I grew up in San Jose, California, like from a kid doing graffiti on walls, drinking 40s in alleyways and like skating with my homies. Like that's how I grew up. And I had a great family. Luckily, like I'm very blessed with the family that I had. All families have their issues and such. But there was a lot of love in my family, complexities that, I don't really get into much unless you like meet me really face to face that I'll share. But, I had a good upbringing, but I also like grew up in the streets of San Jose, and skateboarding really grabbed me when I was 13 years old. It took over my life, and that's pretty much what I did. I got good grades at school, but I was always pursuing like that skate cannabis culture as a child, like in 1995, 94, 96. Yeah, I was like into punk rock, hip hop, like just this whole 1990s skateboard scene. That's what back then it wasn't necessarily an Olympic sport or whatever. It was kind of like what the punkers did and the rap and the hip hop crews, and like not everyone was a party animal, but our crew in San Jose specifically was. And then into my 20s, same thing. Like I just hung out with a bunch of guys that drank a lot and skated all the time. And yeah, that's just me. I got into the tech industry, and that never changed me. I still was a skateboarder at heart. I skated with my friends until my ACL snapped when I was 35. That's basically what's shaped me. It's what made me who I am.
I feel you.
Yeah. So then what happened was like I pursued fly fishing as a love of my life because I got injured. I snapped my knee. I went through this like crazy depression, left the Bay Area, moved on to the river, out on the Trinity River, and quickly realized I was different. And even my crew that I met out there who were my homies, they were different too. They're from Palmdale. They're my boys. Like I love them so much. They're part of like the reason why I made Taco. I quickly realized that we were super different. And it was even in my bass fishing days, like in my mid 20s, we were huge bass fishermen. We all had bass boats. We were all skaters, and we skated and we bass fished. And actually a lot of the bass fishermen didn't like us in the Bay Area because of who we were. And so it's like the same thing in fly fishing. We get into fly fishing, we're different because of who we are as people and in the culture that we grew up with. So it's not like I'm like trying to be different. I just am, as opposed to what is in that, space of fly fishing. So
yeah, I feel you deep on that because you and I have a similar background in that we both we enjoy what people would traditionally not see people that look like you and me in. So I'm a rock and roll chick. I love heavy metal. I grew up in Northwest Ohio, where you'll see me rocking out this summer to a bunch of shows, including Metallica, Machine Gun Kelly, etc. And it's not that I'm seeking to be different. And I feel that that's what you're saying as well, that we didn't seek to be different. We sought to be accepted. And I'll tell you what, you've mentioned the story to me before about how you rolled up into California, you got a crew there. And when you show up to places and spaces, people are surprised. They're surprised to see us in these spaces. You've always embraced everyone. You have you don't care what people look like. You have this open, beautiful heart. and you've opened spaces and made others like me feel very comfortable where you are, and you've made me fish, not made me fish, but made me feel like I belong where I fish. And this podcast is all about I fish, I belong. How have you created space for those of us who may come to the river and feel different or feel like we don't belong? How have you yourself, as someone who's been considered different, and embraced it the way that I have as well? We both have embraced it, and that's kind of a commonality that you and I both share.
Yeah.
What have you done that you can share with us to make others feel safe, make us feel welcome, and try to continue to bring change?
I like this question. It's pretty deep, but and it's like it's an important thing to address, because I also don't want to do it. How can I say this? I've just tried to be myself. Like, I grew up in San Jose. Like, you don't realize how different you are until you leave the Bay Area and go to these mountain places. And then you realize you're different and you look different. And not every person of color's story is the same, right? Not everyone like you and me have experienced things like you and me, which we've talked about, where I've experienced things my whole life. Like, I got beat up by cops when I was a kid, like, kind of like, it's hard to explain these stories, but you don't get that. You don't feel that until you leave the Bay Area, because in the Bay Area, it's so diverse. And then you go to these places, and like, I've always just had this sense of like irrational confidence, is what Draymond Green says, about who I am and what I do and and that comes from the skateboarding part of my life. People always telling us to leave and get away and go away. You guys don't belong here. Get out of here. Since I was a child. And so having that, like, I have this confidence where it's like when I'm in these spaces where we aren't like everyone else there, and some people might not feel comfortable, and I see that, and I saw that with you, and it was like, hey, come on my boat, because this place is tight, and this boat is fun, and I got no judgment here, and we can play music. I don't care what you do. Like, I think I tell people my number one rules in my boat are to have fun, right? Have a good time, wear sunglasses. If you fall out of the boat, I'll pick you up. Like, I give them all these, and I just try to immediately take away that like angst about being there, and express to the people, hey, you're welcome on my boat. And that comes also from my childhood and my family. Like, they are so loving. From the family that came from Mexico to my mom's side, they lived in the Central Valley of California. Like, you go to one of their parties and there's just like, 20 people there that aren't even related to the family, that are part of the family. You know what I mean? And they're not even blood, but they're like my uncles because they grew up with them. And that's just like how I was raised. I was raised to be accepting and loving to people. And it's like, I'm also feel like that I'm really lucky on the career I get to pursue and get to be a fly fishing guide. That for me, every day is a blessing. No matter how tired I am, I try to come at that like first meeting with those people who want to get outside and they're a little nervous. I try to take that edge away by just being like, hey, dude, we're stoked to be out here. Like, look how rad this is. And that's usually like right before we have even taken off.
It's so true. And our culture, like being Mexican or part Mexican for me, is, everyone's a tia or a tío or, a primo or a prima. They're like your cousin, they're your aunt, and everyone feels like family. And whether you look like us or not, it's like, oh, this is Uncle Rico, or, it's just, and you welcomed me in that way. And there was a moment when we were fishing behind what I thought might be a home on the river. And you, myself, and our other friend that we were fishing with that day, we were like, well, who's going to stay and man the boat? Who's going to like be here? And I remember, I don't know if you remember, there was a moment where I got scared because I'm thinking, I don't know where I'm at. I've never been here. Where I grew up in Northwest Ohio, we were the only minorities there, and I don't know where I'm at. And I'm not going to let you leave me here. And
I remember.
You try to say like,
that.
Angelica, you're safe. And I thought to myself, I'm safe with you. I don't feel safe right here.
100%.
And you and our friend were like, let's all get together. Just hop in the truck. I'm going to make sure that, the three of us are going to be scrunched in.
Yeah.
But I'm here for
I
you. I'm
remember
going to
that.
make you feel safe. It's going to be 100%. And nothing would have happened. I'll just tell you all that. Nothing would have happened. Mario knows his surroundings. But for someone like me, you truly made me feel safe. And I just want to thank you again for that and say it out loud too, that this is an opportunity that you have as a guide to open other people's eyes and other people's hearts, and also give them that sense of safety. And you're wonderful for that. I urge everyone watching the show to, definitely reach out to Mario, go fishing with him. Let's talk about Taco Fly Co. because I just love that name. I want to know everything about Taco Fly Co. Most importantly, how did you decide to combine tacos, the taco culture, and how you do this like cerveza with like a lime, and you've got this whole thing going, and fly fishing, and you kind of mixed it together, fused it together, and made some magic. What inspired this vision?
Well, thank you. So Taco Fly Co. It's funny. I was like, I'm not even gonna wear a taco shirt during this thing because I know we're doing the video thing, but I should have because I'm
you should have because I noticed. I was like, "Where's your tacos?" There we go. There we go.
My taco swag right there, my sticker.
Yes.
So Taco Fly Fishing Company was based off of me trying to come up with a name for our crew that we could brand. Now, our crew on the Trinity River we called ourselves the Trinity Superflies. And if you go on YouTube and you look up Trinity River, you'll probably find videos of us on the river having fun. I basically made this series of like right when I moved there, and it's kind of like this like vlog. And I edited a bunch of skate videos back in the day and used to film skateboarding all the time. So it's got like a skateboard edit feel.
Sweet.
But I wasn't so we called ourselves Trinity Superflies, like stupid, like we're dumb, and we celebrate that, like we're just dumb and we want to have fun. And in that journey, I was like, man, we need to create something for us where we could make clothing, and so we would like try to come up with names. They would always kind of just fall flat, and I sat on the idea for like a year. I was thinking in my head, damn, I got to come up with something. We have something here, our crew, we got something like who we are, and just some like I don't even like this, but like some scumbags on the river, having fun but can catch fish. We got to do something that can define who we are. And so I was actually on my way to San Jose, and in San Jose, I was known when I lived there. I was known as like the taco dude. Like people would be like, "Hey, where's the dope taco stand?" And then and I would be able to tell them like, "You got to go down this one street around this corner." And I love tacos like crazy. Like I eat them probably too much. And so I was going to San Jose, and in my head, I'm like, "Man, I got to go get a taco." And yeah, and I was like,
you were thinking about eating and merch.
Yeah, I remember exactly where I was driving to. I was on the 101 by Sonol, which is like right outside of San Jose, right outside of the Bay Area, where you come over this hill and you see the Bay Area sprawl. And I remember it, and I was like, taco, and I was like, holy, I was like, driving the car, like, oh no, like I got the name. I like pulled over, texted all my homies, I got the name, dude. It's Taco Fly Fishing Company, and they were like, what? Hell yeah, perfect. And so like the goal was to, we wanted to make a clothing brand that like I'm, what's crazy is I'm starting to see it now, like so much more now that there are a lot of brands now making good merch. Yeah. But back then, which was just like 8 years ago, there was not any good stuff out like in fly fishing. Maybe I saw like one Cole hat that they did with R.L. Winston that was pretty sick. But a lot of the stuff was just kind of whack, I agree.
So, your merch is on point. And also you tied in a signature cocktail, if you will. Yeah. It's cerveza or beer. Yeah. But there's a certain way that you make it. Do you mind sharing the recipe with all of us?
Yeah,
so you can have your own Taco Fly Co. Beer at home.
Yeah. So in that like creating taco and creating like our Superflies, time together with me and my homies out on the Trinity, we would be hungover and be like, man, I need a michelada, like micheladas are great for hangovers and when you're not feeling good. And we didn't have the michelada ingredients.
Yeah.
So we basically started doing this thing where we crack a beer. You do a small little crack on a Mexican beer on a can. You pour lime and salt and tahini and then a couple hot sauces. And then you can like top it with like carnitas or some chicharrones. And then what you do is my mouth's watering talking
Yeah,
about
my mouth is watering too. I was thinking
what you do is you dip your like treat in the little soup mix there. And that little crack that you make actually also is like juices are spilling into your beer before you even open it. And you dip it, your little treat in the beer on top. You eat that, then you crack the beer and you slam like a good chug. It tastes like a taco. It's crazy.
Yes, it does.
Oh my God, it's so good. And people could actually look up if you Google special beers, Taco Flyco, it'll take you to our website. And then on that website, there's a bunch of videos, instructional videos, and taco, of course, special beer merch.
That's right. That's right.
But
that's awesome.
you know, I gotta say too, you know, like I love all people and I love everyone, no matter who you are, how you look. Obviously, if you're an asshole, then I don't like to mess with you, right? But I love everyone. And I feel like that, like what we wanted to create, I wanted to create something that was also like that could be seen and appreciated by everyone and have it be like, hey, this brand, it represents everyone and everyone loves tacos. I think I've met like one or two people who don't like tacos.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And that's totally fine. But everyone loves tacos. And like part of that was like the name. Like I wanted to make something that when you think about it, you think of my heritage and then also you think of like, you know, something that's like good, no matter who you are, where you're at, right? Someone likes a taco, no matter what type of taco it is, someone likes a taco. And then it just so happens that this cocktail that we started to make was kind of like a handshake for people across fly fishing to say, oh, you like special beers? I love special beers. Let's fish together. And it's weird. It's like this thing that we created and then we put out with our brand is very how can I say? It's like an olive branch to anyone.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, you might have been that dude down the river that was vibing me the other day, but I see you drinking a special beer. Like, hey, we cool.
yeah, you're absolutely right. I've never met one person who doesn't like a taco. Like that's, I mean, it's almost like burgers. I don't know one person who hasn't enjoyed a burger, whether it's a veggie burger or what. I mean, like you can make flour tortilla tacos, you can make the crunchy corn tortillas, or you can make the soft corn tortillas, you know, or you can even make a lettuce taco these days, you know. Well, for most people that are watching the show, I'm sure they know what a fly fishing guide is. But for those who might be new to fly fishing, can you tell us a little bit about what a guide is and how you became a guide?
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, and I think this is actually a really cool question because when you get into fly fishing is a very complex thing to get into, and there are a lot of resources that are out there that make it really, really easy. One of them I suggest that if people are interested in getting into fly fishing is called the Curtis Creek Manifesto. I actually have it over here. It's like a coloring book, but it's like a coloring book because they wanted to make it so that when you learn about fly fishing, it's easy. And you could read this coloring book, and it's really cool because it teaches you the basics. Like, hey, this is a fly rod, this is a regular rod, blah blah blah. So in fly fishing, my goal is to make it easy. Okay, for people to get into it. They're like, I want to try this. And I go, okay, well, come on my boat. I'm going to start you off from scratch. This is how the rod works, blah, blah, blah. I've done it so many times and I love it. And so fly fishing guides, what they do, there's all kinds of different flavors of fly fishing guides. What a guide can do is you can hire a guide, the right guide, try to find a guide by either word of mouth or reach out to iFishiBelong to find the guides that are essentially like proven to be good for beginners. Because not every fly fishing guide is. Some guides are just there because they want to get you on fish. They don't want to teach you how to cast. They don't want to teach you what a rod is. They don't want to teach you this. But they're there to get you on fish. So every fly fishing guide experience, a guide is a person that you hire who's licensed, permitted, and insured, hopefully. I definitely say like if people are interested in guides, like look at the reviews for sure. It's important you check out their reviews. And what that guide will do is show you the water that they guide on. They know the water really well, whether if it's a lake or a river or a pond or the coast or the ocean or whatever. That person's going to know that watershed really well, and they're going to know the techniques that are going to help make you successful on that watershed. And hopefully in that experience, which is what one thing that I pride myself in is that you have fun. There are experiences where, like, you know, and I get it. There's a lot of different flavors of guides. There's a lot of different flavors of teachers. There's a lot of different flavors of all kinds of things that people do. And sometimes what people want is they just want to catch fish, right? And so that guide you might hire who you think is going to teach you how to fly fish, they're not there to teach you to fly fish.
Yeah,
they're there to get you into fish. And that might be them yelling at you or telling you which way to go. And I get it, but I feel like if you're new at it, do your due diligence on finding people who are cool and also patient with beginners. And yeah, hopefully you have a good experience with fly fishing guides, because I think that they're good for A, you're gaining knowledge, and B, your fishing experience for the day. I think a lot of my friends who are guides who I ally with are really cool guys, and they are great for beginners. So
yeah, I totally agree with you, Mario. There's so many different types of guides. In my fly fishing journey, I've been fly fishing. It'll be 6 years this October.
Wow, that's rad.
Yeah, and I don't nearly get out on the water as much as I'd like, but when I do, I often hire guides. And I'll say this out loud. I've shared it with you in private, but I'm going to say it out loud. Mario, you are the most amazing and the best guide that I've ever experienced. And I'm going to tell you all why, because you are amazing for all levels, beginners, intermediate, advanced. I've seen you with me as a newbie. I've seen you with people who are intermediate, and I've heard your reputation through all the advanced fly anglers that I admire. And yeah, and one of the things that I think that Mario does well, and I'll say this out loud again, is that he does take you from A to Z. There's no in between. There's no frustration with you. You're like, hey, you don't know how to set the hook? Let me get out in the water and pretend I'm a fish. And you cast to me, and I'm going to show you how to set that hook so that you do it just right. And you know all your water. And I don't understand how you memorize everything from teaching people how to cast to teaching people how to set the hook to teaching us how to gently take off the hook, how to gently wet our hands so that we keep the fish wet. I mean, everything. You are such an amazing guide. And I want to know, before we continue, how do people find you? If we wanted to hire you, how do we connect?
First, thank you, Angelica. Like, that means the world to me. I'm a sensitive guy, so it makes my heartstrings get blink, blink, blink.
It's so true.
No, it means a lot. It means a lot, and I'm proud of my. I'm proud of that. Like to say, when you come in my boat, if you are beginner, advanced, or whatever, is like, I'm going to tell you everything. I don't hold any secrets. I mean, even just this last couple weeks, I was at Lake Almanor fishing. I tell people from the moment they step in my boat what we're doing, what flies I'm doing, the flies I tied, the materials. I feel like that's like what I would like if I were to hire a guide. I would love to have that, you know? So I try to perpetuate that. And by the way, for all the people listening, Angelica killed it on my boat the first day on the Trinity River, steelhead fishing. Oh my God, you killed it. You took to the instructions so well, and you were stoked. And, you know, like, I think that one of the things too is in steelhead fishing, you expect a fish, right? You expect one fish, and like, you had plenty of fish, and honestly too, in that, like, you lost fish, and like, you kept the positive vibes. Like, you're gonna lose fish, you're gonna miss fish, you're gonna lose fish, but in the end, like, oh my God, we hooked a giant fish.
It was the biggest of my life.
Oh my God, one of my best fights, top 5 battles on the Trinity River, probably top 3 actually.
Wow.
Like, where we had to chase it around a rock. Oh my God, the celebration when I'm like getting chills thinking about it.
I am too.
Oh my God, it was so epic.
That was so yesterday.
Awesome. Yeah,
totally.
Beautiful wild fish, and I mean, you know, the conditions for you were perfect, and you know, I feel like too, like that Mother Nature provides for people who deserve it, and in that was like your day. It was insane conditions. So, but yeah, if people want to get a hold of me, you could find me on Google searching by Taco Fly Fishing Company. I have a website, and on there, basically, it shows my calendar of availability and my phone number. I always tell people, call me. You can call me or text me. You can also email me at info@tacoflyco.com. And honestly, too, to put this out to your listeners is like, even if you have questions, you don't even have to hire me. Just if you want to get into fishing, or you're nervous about asking somebody something, you can contact me. I work a lot. Some seasons I'm like so busy, but other times if I'm like, doing extra side work and stuff and I don't have a lot going, I'll take 20-30 minutes on the phone call with somebody. And that's actually helped me a lot. I feel like, as far as reiterating that, like, what I would want somebody to be like for me, right? So,
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, you bring a lot of fun and amazing joy to fly fishing. I've seen that you fish in so many different places. You guide like everywhere. You do saltwater, you do freshwater. Where are the rivers that you're fishing? Tell us more. Like, I know you do Alaska. I know you do California. Did I see somewhere that you do Mexico as well? Baja?
Well, okay, yeah, Baja. So my primary rivers that I guide on are the Trinity River, which is based out of Redding, California. It's basically just west of California, or Redding, California. And that comes out of Trinity Lake and goes into the Klamath and then goes into the ocean. So we have anadromous species there, steelhead, and then we have rainbow trouts and brown trout there. We don't do salmon fishing there often because it's closed all the time. And I don't really have that in my wheelhouse. Another one I do is the Lower Sacramento River, which is in Redding. Super fun wild trout fishery. Those two are like sort of next to each other, and I started guiding on the Trinity, so the Trinity is like my second home. Moving east from there, I guide on Lake Almanor. I just did 2 weeks of that for the Lake Almanor Hex Hatch, which is called Hexagenia. It's a big giant mayfly. It's an amazing event. It's a spectacle, actually, when it comes to events that relate to Mother Nature and animals and migration of animals. It's these giant mayflies that come up from the bottom of the lake. It's so fun. Really big fish eat them. And I love Lake Almanor. It's a beautiful place. It sits right below Mount Lassen. I got my drip boat. I was just borrowing my friend's boat to guide on there, and I'll be having a boat there soon, which is a freestone river. We don't have a dam connected to that river, and it's right here in Pulmas County. Really fun wild trout fishing and beautiful views. And it's basically where I live here in Pulmas County. And that's pretty much it. I do some creeks and stuff along the way that I can't say publicly that are related to those areas, but those are the watersheds that I guide on, like in California. I also guide on the Kenai River up on the Kenai Peninsula in Alaska.
Wow.
I've been doing that for about 5 years now. Really blessed to have the opportunity to guide along with my buddy Sean Smart out of Kenai River Recon. He does trips up there for sockeye salmon. He's awesome. He's a vet. I love Sean. Shout out to my boy Sean for giving me that opportunity to guide there and host trips in Alaska and take people fishing. And then I do hosted trips to saltwater locations. And right now, currently on the list is Mag Bay and Baja California, which is really amazing. And what I do is I jump from boat to boat to make sure people are having a good time, that their knots are good, and I show them how to tie their knots. We don't necessarily really have guides on every boat, so I'm kind of like a host / guide. I'm not saying I'm a guide down there, but I kind of am. I don't sell it as a guided experience, but I'm a host, making sure that you're getting good casts, and I try to teach people how to lead the marlin, and that's for marlin and mahi and roosters. Pretty amazing. I've been there 4 times. I just had my first hosted trip last year there, and I'm going to try to continue to go there every year after, and that's typically right after Thanksgiving.
Adding that to my 2026 bucket list goals.
Dude, Angelica, it's sick.
Heck yeah, it's on. Okay,
it's crazy.
It's gonna be my birthday present to myself.
It's so insane. The fishing is just bonkers.
It sounds amazing. I haven't done any of that yet. The rooster is like this magical creature that so many of my friends have been sharing with me, and to know that you're doing this too, I can't wait to support you on that.
Thank you. And actually, it's funny that you say this. Like, so just last 2 days ago, I had a phone call with a buddy who's starting a new lodge down in Baja, California. I cannot say where it's at.
Yeah.
But this place is supposedly like insanely not, it's like just loaded with fish. I'm going to try to host a week down there once the word gets out. But for teasers, if you're interested on going on this trip with me, it's May 24th through the 30th next year. Angelica, you should go with us.
Yeah.
Like I'll text you this video that he sent me. Oh my God, roosters like everywhere. So
sounds amazing. Yeah. You all are getting a great sneak peek into this because I don't think this is public knowledge yet. You're dropping it here, right?
Yeah, right now. First time.
This is the premier information, you all. So make sure you sign up. We'll put the link down when you're ready. Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Moving on to inclusion, culture, and the outdoors. What does inclusion and fly fishing mean to you?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, so I would say I always like to take that question or something like that question and I relate it to my experience in skateboarding. Because skateboarding, typically in the 90s and the 80s, it was like the poor kids or like the kids that like came from broken homes and stuff like that. And like, not always, but it seemed like that's what it was a lot of the time. And what I experienced from my friends growing up and who I became friends with through, into my 30s. In skateboarding, and I'm not saying all skaters came from that type of family lifestyle, but a big majority. And then you'd have like your homie over here who's had a great life, a really blessed life. And we all mix, no matter where we're from, whether if we're black, white, brown, yellow, Jewish, gay, hetero, they, them. It didn't ever matter. We were literally like our crew in San Jose and in most crews in skateboarding. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be the metal guy and you could be the hip hop guy or the straight edge guy. And you guys are hanging out together, having fun, skating, going at the skate park, going to the bars after, going to shows together. And like your group is usually very diverse. And when I say that, I bring that up because that's inclusive to me. Doesn't matter how you look, who you are, your skill level. We had people who would go skate with us that were like world top pros. And then we had people who were just every once in a while touch the skateboard. But they were part of our crew. So it doesn't matter who you are or what you are or your skill level or anything. You're part of the squad. Just because you showed up to the skate park that day and then like we got along with you because, there are people that do show up and they say some crazy shit. And you're like, all right, that dude's definitely not in our crew.
No, I totally agree with you because I here in Washington, D.C., where I'm based, I hang out with a lot of spin anglers and traditional spin. And they're looking at me like, well, they don't know how to fly fish yet. And I might, dip a toe into spin fishing, but we're all inclusive in that way. All ages, all techniques, all species, all areas, freshwater versus saltwater. There's all inclusivity. Yes. Yeah. I was wondering if you've seen any shifts in terms of how people are being more inclusive within our industry.
Right. Good question. And what you mentioned too is like, so back to what I was saying about the inclusivity and like skating and like cultures and people, it's also techniques. I feel like there's so many techniques in fly fishing that like, if you're just because this person fishes this way, they can't be a part of our crew. Like that to me is just like so gatekeepy, so elitist and purist, like lame. It's like, oh, you fish that way, I don't like you. And I've heard people say that out loud who own boat companies. Literally, like, if you use beads, you're not a real fisherman. And you're like, wait, what? Like, come on, man. Like, that's like that's what you're putting out there. That turns so many people off in fishing. So back to kind of answer your question, am I seeing a shift? I would say so. I would say I am. I mean, and my exposure to the industry is fairly limited. I got to admit, like, I hate scrolling through my Taco Flyco account because it is just fly fishing and it's so bland and boring. But I like seeing homies like cooking up stuff, and I'm starting to see like more people celebrate all the ways to do it, right? And like I actually typically will unfollow someone if they're like, screw this, like screw bobbers, and if you bobber fish, you're not a real fly fisherman. I'm like, unfollow. Like I don't need that negative energy in my life, and I actually don't even want to see it. And I get it, like you're making fun and having a good time. Maybe it's a meme, I don't know, whatever. But I feel like a lot of truth to that is what keeps people away from wanting to do that. And I think that there are companies that Okay, for example, like Reddington. Okay, so I'm a Reddington ambassador, and I speak highly of them because they show a lot of different types of fishing on their page and a lot of different types of people, and I like that and I appreciate that, and I think that they do a good job of that. And then their biggest competitor, Orvis, right? Like they do the same. They're doing the same thing. They're showing people bobber fish on their Instagrams and stuff, and like it's not just a specific way of doing it. And I feel like that's important for people to see the way that different people look too, right? So I feel like it is changing, and if anything, I think that it is. I think that
I love that. And yeah, you and I are both, we both have represented Reddington. You are a big brand ambassador for Brown Folks Fishing. I love your work with them. What does that mean to you to represent Brown Folks Fishing? And in addition to what it means to you, how do you use your representation to uplift others?
Oh, wow. Okay. So first off, Brown Folks Fishing was founded based off of from my homegirl Tracy, and it was founded as a place where we could get together, people of color, feel safe. All of us have had an experience that is something that you can't experience unless you are a person of color, and that is true. It's very sad that is true, but a lot of us bond in the Brown Folks Fishing crew because we've needed we've needed a space where we can feel safe, and that's what Tracy created, is a group and a collective of people and a family of people who just truly love each other, because we know we have similar stories, and we also know that like no matter what happens out there in the outdoors, whether if they're not with me, I could come back and be like, dude, this happened to me, and they're gonna be there to grab you and hold you and be like, dog, we got your back and we're cool, like that. We're your family, and that's okay, or whatever. And to have that and to know that that's there, it feels awesome. It's amazing to know that I have homies who, in Brown Folks Fishing, it's like it's not just fly fishing, it's fly fishing and conventional and whatever. And like to have them out there, and these people are so smart and they're beautiful, they're amazing, and like I'm not the most articulate person, so like sometimes if I need help explaining something, they do it really, really well, and I'm just blessed to be a part of them. And now also too, just because like the Brown Folks family crew and ambassador crew is a select group of people, we're here for anybody that has any issues. Person of color or white, doesn't even matter who you are. Just that if you've had an experience where you want some stoke on fishing, like we're down. If you have questions about specific styles of fishing that you want answered, we're going to help you. We're about having a collective of people who promote for you to get outside, no matter who you are, how you look, or whatever, and enjoy it and feel safe and feel stoked. Whether if you're a beginner or even like an expert, and you're like, man, I kind of wish I had more friends. We'll be your friend.
No, it's amazing. And yeah, I should hop on that and try to join you all sometimes for some of the trips. What would you say, Mario, to people of color, first generation outdoor lovers who feel like they don't belong in the outdoors, perhaps because maybe their families never felt safe and they never were taken when they were younger kids, or maybe there's a teenager watching right now who's in a very, like an environment where only the people that look like them live, and they want to branch out into like places where they don't see themselves represented. What would you say to encourage them to get out there and to try fly fishing?
The biggest thing I would say, if like a kid was in front of me and he said, hey dude, I want to do this, what do I would say, you know what, man, you got this, or what, you can do this, you've got this, go outside, enjoy it. It's for all of us to enjoy, number one. And if you don't feel safe, I want you to know that you can always reach out to me or Angelica or the Brown Folks Fishing crew and share your story so that we can help build that confidence for you to go outside. It's yours. It's all of ours. It's yours. It's all of ours to enjoy. And just because you weren't exposed to it or something, like it could seem intimidating, but promise, like there are people out there who will help you in your journey. And that's like one of the benefits, obviously, of social media. There's so much negative surrounded about social media these days, but the benefits and the positive side is like something that can help a kid address that. There are programs too that are out there like for kids, and you can reach out to Brown Folks or probably iFishiBelong, and we can help direct these kids or or people who have interest to organizations that will help them. And there are meetups where they can go and learn the basics or and get to be a part of a group, because I know sometimes just because you want to go to the outdoors doesn't mean all your friends want to go to the outdoors. That's kind of what I grew up, and you'll meet people along that journey. And that's the other part that I think that's important for these people to know, is that in that journey in the outdoors, you're gonna meet people who are gonna become your friends. And again, don't be intimidated just because you see somebody and they don't look like you. You'd be surprised. There are a lot of people out there that don't look like Mira and Angelica that are OGs that are very helpful, and some aren't going to be as friendly, but I promise you that the majority is. And that's something too I gotta be sure kids know, is that there are a lot of really awesome people out there who are willing to help you no matter how you look. And we might be intimidated just because of certain rhetoric that's shared in social media for you, and try to help you out.
Yeah, I agree with you. Those people are called allies. And well, I mean, we're learning all these buzzwords these days, right? 2025. And you mentioned it too. So I grew up in Northwest Ohio. My dad is a darker skinned Mexican man. My mother is a darker skinned Southern Black woman in Northwest Ohio. We were the only minorities in that town. I grew up with mostly white people or people that didn't look like me. And it was I never felt like the people weren't allies. I just assumed that if I saw anyone out in the wild, that maybe they would help me unhook my fish, or maybe they would help put a bobber on when I was doing traditional spin fishing, or that they would come and net a fish. And most of the time, I'd say 9 out of 10 times they did. It was never a moment that they didn't because, they were like, oh, I'm not going to help that girl. It was more like, I'm in a hurry. I've got to go pick up my grandson or something like that. Right. So I couldn't take it personally. But what do you think is one small action that anyone could take to make fly fishing more welcoming and more inclusive? Especially, I talk as a mother to try to kind of encourage the younger generation to get out there, because it's going to be fine. And we are going to grow this sport. And people that you've seen traditionally in that movie with Brad Pitt, I'm sorry, but they're dying off. And it's just not an exclusive sport anymore. You're not just going to see Brad Pitt when he's in his 80s out there on the river. You're going to see my kids out there. If you decide to become a dad, Mario, we're going to see your kids out there. Yep. And what I want in this world and in this life is I want to be able to see my grandchildren out there without any fear, without any worry. That's my goal. What do you think is one small actionable step that anyone can take to make this fly fishing world seem more inclusive and more welcoming?
Well, the first thing I think that people can do is say hi to your neighbor. Even if you run into somebody, you're like, oh man, that's my favorite fishing hole, and there's someone there. Just say hello to each other and try to be more cordial in the outdoor space, where you're more hospitable in a way where it's like, all right, well, dang, it's supposed to be like, damn, that jerk's in my hole. I don't want to talk to him. I'm mad. Try to think in your head, that person just wants to say hi. And even if that person doesn't say hi back, a hello goes a long way, and it repeats itself, right? And so what you're doing is you're just trying to make fly fishing more hospitable and nice. And so that's the first thing, is let's just say hi to each other on the water. Let's just be cool. And then also I would say too is if you see anybody who might not look like they know what they're doing, just to go and share one piece of knowledge to that person, where you go, okay, I can see that guy's trying to roll cast, but he's got a giant leader on or something, and just take a little bit of time to go up there to that person and maybe just say, hey, here's just can I give you a quick suggestion? And I think that if we do that more in fly fishing, especially with kids these days, is just try to just not be so bummed out that someone's there, right? In this, because there are more people getting in the outdoors. It is happening. We are seeing more people spend money in the outdoor industry, and where it was very private, and that used to be my hunting spot for me and my grandpa, and now there's no one there, and now it's just the way it's going to be. So if we take more of a hospitable approach in that, and just give a hello oh, well, there's 3 people in my favorite fishing hole now. Bummer. Then you get to go find new holes, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I would say that that's probably like super important is just,
I love that, Mario. A greeting
yeah.
goes a long way. And you also
Yeah.
just touch upon something too in terms of accessibility. I think there's often this stereotype that people of color can't afford fly fishing equipment. One of the biggest ways that I've always felt supported or welcomed is if someone saw me struggling, they'd literally be like, let me just give you my net. Let me let you borrow it. Or how about you try my Winston rod that cost them a
Cool.
fortune? You know, well,
Yeah.
one of my favorite rods is Reddington, a brand
Yeah.
that you and I love. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, let me try this, you know, and I still go back to my Reddington rod because I love it. I'm very loyal to that brand.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's really cool to just be able to be out in the wild and meet a total stranger who's willing to help you either by saying hello and making you feel seen and heard, or by saying like, I'm seeing you struggle and I see that maybe your rod tip is bent. Do you want to try my rod? And it's really amazing. I was wondering, are there any other organizations that you would like to highlight here or would tell our audience to connect with?
Throughout this journey, I've met a lot of people who have sort of like had my same experience, or, you know, like you said, allies, right? Like there are allies out there, and there are people who, when they see the word brown folks fishing, they don't go, you know, they're actually like, sick. That's really rad, you know? And I love that. And I love that term brown folks fishing is, you know, a way to kind of define who is down, you know, who's down to support like a good time in the outdoors, no matter who you are. Shout out definitely to my brown folks crew, Reddington, for always being there to sponsor the Taco Flyco madness. I'd say definitely a shout out to my boy Running Bear Flyco. Running Bear is Brandon. He's out of Sacramento. He's my boy. He's so sick. Brandon, I love you, bro. He's got into guiding just recently. If you're in the Sacramento area, hit him up. My homegirl Autumn, she's part of the Brown Folks crew. If you ever want to go to Pyramid Lake and go fish there, hire her. She's Numu Wanderer on Instagram as well. My boys in Alaska, got to give a shout out to Sean again, Kenai River Recon. I love you, bro. Thank you so much. And then my buddy Peninsula Fishing, dude. Honestly, like they're for them to take my crew out on a regular basis, like I'm just super grateful. So there's just tons of them. Like there's a lot of people who are rad out there, and of course the whole taco family.
Wow, that is amazing. I'm gonna have to like rewind this tape and
There's
like
so many.
literally like check out everybody. Definitely we'll put them down below in the comment box in the description. We have a closing tradition on this podcast. I'd like to provide some closing reflections. Our campaign is called Be What You Don't See. What does that phrase mean to you, Mario?
Okay, how about this? This is how I could reply to that. Be what I don't see. And like, obviously for me, who I am as a person is what I don't see in most places. I live in Quincy, California. Like, I think there's like 2 other Mexican dudes here that I see on a regular basis. I go to Alaska all the time. Like I go to like these mountain towns and fish. Like I was just in Almanor. I asked the bartender at the place. I was like, "Have you seen any Mexicans this week at the bar?" She's all, "Nope." And like, it's just funny. I think because I don't see other people that look like me, I'm still gonna be me. You know, I'm still gonna always be Mario from San Jose, whose dad's from Mexico, who loves lowrider music and, you know, loves to eat tacos and says hella. You know, I'm not gonna change myself to accommodate for other people's like wants and desires of who they want me to be, because it's like, if I'm not truly myself, then like, I don't know. It's just, I'm going to enjoy the outdoors of who I am and know that I have a crew that has my back. Like I can be that person, you know, I can be me. So it's like, be what you don't see. If in for anybody else, if it's like not pertaining to like color or culture or whatever, just be yourself. Like if in fly fishing or in the fishing industry, they want you to be a specific way, like in golf, they want you to tuck in your shirt, and you don't want to tuck in your shirt, don't tuck it in. Be you, man.
I love it.
You.
Authenticity is so key. I tell everyone that. I preach it to my children all the time. And I think too, I think being authentic and being organic is the bridge between cultures. I really do. I think that again, you said it earlier in the podcast, no two people have the same experience. You know, a lot of times people project onto me what I should feel. And I'm like, I don't feel that way at all. Like, what are you talking? I typically, because I grew up being the only brown person in an all white environment, I typically don't even notice until someone else feels the need to point it out to me. Oh my God, Angelica, you are the only brown person here. And I'm like, oh my God, I am. Or you are the only chick here. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know.
That's rad.
I love that, Mario. Just like if this was a perfect world in your eyes in terms of fly fishing in the industry, shape it for us. Tell us what you want to see.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I guess what I'd want to see in fly fishing. Okay. Number one, I would definitely like to see less gatekeeping. That's the number one thing I think is like technique and the way that you want to do it. And just because you do it a specific way, like you have to feel like you got a monkey on your back judging you. Like that to me, obviously, is like one of the biggest inhibitors of getting people stoked on fly fishing is because of that, you know? And I think that if we were to have that, like, I get it. Like everyone's going to do it the way they like, which is great, but don't yuck another person's yum just because it's not the same way you do it. I think if the industry itself like didn't have that, it would be more welcoming for sure. But since that's there, and I feel like that wouldn't necessarily be something you can easily change. I would also like to see like the fly fishing culture itself, not well, yeah, let's call like everything from the equipment to the gear you buy and everything to be more affordable. I know that times are tough these days as far as like trying to make a dollar, but like, you know, having a good rod be $500 is, and I get it. You know, I used to be a bass fisherman, and a $500 rod was definitely a lot better than a $200 rod. But you know, I see that there are a lot of brands out there that make introductory rods. I think celebrate more people fishing with the cheaper rod and the more affordable rod, and that being okay and not being a bad thing, like or looked down upon. I think would be something I would totally change because I see that sometimes. You know,
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes people show up with like a really cheap rod on my boat, and I'm like, that rod's sick. Like, I've never tried that rod, as opposed to like, get that shit out of here. Like, I don't, you know, I'm not. I think that's like important. You know, I think that's really important. And then also too, I'm seeing it happen more, which is great, which is celebrating more species. You know, more species and like appreciating fishing for any type of species, no matter what it is, from the little guys to the big guys, whatever, perch to marlin to blah, 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 blah. Like just continuing to celebrate that you can do it anyway, because I think a lot of people relate fly fishing to trout fishing. So just continue to, and you know, let's put some freaking bluegill on the homepage.
Yes,
you know,
I agree.
You know, carp are really popular in fly fishing. I don't like carp. I'll put that out there. I think they're really gross. I don't want to touch them. But no offense. See, that's me being an elitist. I'm being an elitist. But at the same time, like when I see my homies fish for carp, I'm like, hell yeah, that's sick. You know, and we're seeing a lot of people promote that carp fishing. Like I'm seeing it more now in my feeds, like, and that's cool. I think that's rad. Like adding another species. I will go carp fishing. I will go. I have people inviting me. Lastly, make more special beers. Everyone should have special. Non-alcoholic works too. I can make a mean non-alcoholic special beer.
Nice. Well, the Bureau brand, I'm just going to shout it out. It's not sponsored, but it's by the actor who played Spider-Man, Tom Holland. It's amazing for people who are looking for an NA alternative. It's called Bureau, Bero. I'll put it down here at the link too. Lastly, who are you inviting to go fishing with next?
Oh my God. Oh shit. Man. Alive or dead?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a great, I mean, we haven't done that before. It doesn't matter. You choose.
Anthony Bourdain, for sure.
Totally.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
He would be amazing. I love that answer.
No question. That would be my dude. R.I.P. My dude, he's really motivated me in my life. So
same.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mario. It's been a blast, and I knew it would be, and I could talk to you forever. And so we will do this again. Thank you
Thank you so much
joining us here
today.
today.
One more shout out.
Sure.
To my Ample homies, the Ample Collective. They're out of Southern California. Amazing brand that I work with on a regular basis. We do collabs, and I just had to give them one shot because they're my boys. So check them out. They're really great stuff, really good. And thank you, Angelica. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Mario. It's been a real pleasure. You totally made my day, and I look forward to fishing with you next year.
Yeah, I hope so.
Have a great day.
All right. See ya.
Thank you.
Thanks.